Hi friends, today I want to share with you a story not of overnight success, but of the quiet, almost invisible power that changes lives, consistency. Let me take you back to a small town in Oregon. There lived a young man named Daniel. He wasn't a genius. He wasn't wealthy, he didn't have any extraordinary talents that turned heads. In fact, most people didn't notice him at all. He was the kind of person who blended into the background of life, barely making a ripple. Daniel worked at a local hardware store. He restocked shelves, loaded trucks, swept floors. It was honest work, but far from glamorous. Every day was the same. He'd wake up at 6 a.m., take a cold shower to save on the heating bill, eat a simple breakfast, and walk 20 minutes to work. Then he'd come home, tired, eat whatever was in the fridge, and go to sleep. That was his life. But Daniel had a dream. Ever since he was a child, he wanted to become a writer. Not just any writer, but someone whose stories touched hearts, changed minds, and maybe, just maybe, stood the test of time. But every time he sat down to write, self-doubt crept in. Who would read this? Who cares about your words? And so, the notebook would stay closed. One winter evening, after another long day of lugging boxes, Daniel sat on his small couch and stared at a blank page. The wind howled outside. The heater barely worked. And in that moment of quiet desperation, he made a decision. He wouldn't try to write a masterpiece. He wouldn't even try to write a story. He would write just one sentence every day. That's it, one sentence. No pressure, no expectations. The next morning, after brushing his teeth, he opened his notebook and wrote. The moon hung low like a watchful eye over the quiet town. That was it. He closed the notebook and went to work. The next day, another sentence. He walked past the same coffee shop, wondering if she still worked there. Day by day, sentence by sentence, something began to change. The sentences turned into paragraphs. The paragraphs turned into pages. And before Daniel realized it, he had completed his first short story. It wasn't perfect. In fact, it was full of flaws. But it was done, and more importantly, it was real. The weeks turned into months. And Daniel kept showing up, one sentence a day, rain or shine, tired or energized, inspired or not. He didn't wait for motivation. He relied on discipline. On consistency. At the 1-year mark, Daniel had filled 3 notebooks. He submitted one of his stories to a small online literary magazine. It got rejected, then another. Rejected again. But he kept writing. Not because of the rejections, but in spite of them. Because by now, writing was part of who he was. Not something he did. Something he became. After nearly 2 years of daily writing, one of Daniel's stories finally got published in a modest online magazine. No paycheck, just a byline. But to him, it felt like winning a Nobel Prize. His confidence grew. He started waking up earlier, 5 a.m. instead of 6, so he could write a full hour before work. He even bought a second-hand laptop to type his stories. Then something remarkable happened. An editor at a well-known publishing house came across one of Daniel's online stories. She emailed him. She wanted to know if he had a collection of short stories or even a novel. He didn't, but he was working on one. 6 months later, Daniel signed his first publishing deal. 5 years after that cold winter night on the couch, Daniel stood on a stage in New York City, holding a hardcover copy of his debut novel. It had become a national bestseller. Not because he was the most talented. Not because he got lucky. But because he did one small thing every single day. He was consistent. Now, you might be thinking, that's a nice story, but what does it have to do with me? Let me tell you something powerful. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. We live in a world that worships the dramatic. The big transformations. The overnight success stories. The viral moments. But the truth is quieter. It lives in the shadows. It hides in the little things you do when no one is watching. It's in the 5 push-ups you do when you don't feel like working out. It's in reading 2 pages of a book each night instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone. It's in saving just $5 a day when everyone else is spending. Success doesn't scream. It whispers. It whispers in the early mornings when you rise before the sun to chase your dream. It whispers in the extra hour of study when your friends are partying. It whispers in the journal entries, the rough drafts, the failed attempts, the quiet effort. And over time, those whispers grow louder. They build into momentum, into change, into results. Let me ask you, what would happen if you committed to just 15 minutes a day toward your goal? 1 chapter, 1 paragraph, 1 small task, every single day. No skipping, no excuses. That's 7 hours a month. That's 84 hours a year. That's over 3 full days of focused, uninterrupted progress. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be consistent. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. It will be hard, it will feel like you're not making any progress. But remember this: consistency compounds. Just like drops of water carve canyons through stone, your small daily actions will create massive results over time. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, said, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." And consistency is the most powerful system you can build. Think of a bamboo tree. For years, it shows no visible growth. You water it, nurture it, and nothing seems to happen. But in the 5th year, it suddenly shoots up over 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Was it growing all along? Yes, just beneath the surface. Quietly, patiently. That's what your effort does. It grows roots. So, whatever your dream is, whether it's writing a book, starting a business, learning an instrument, getting fit, or building a better life, it won't happen all at once. But it will happen. 1 sentence at a time. 1 representative at a time. 1 step at a time. You don't need to take massive leaps. You just need to keep showing up. Be like Daniel, trust the process. Respect the small steps. And most importantly, never underestimate the power of consistency. Because in the end, it's not the big moves that change your life. It's the small ones. Repeated, relentlessly. Day after day. That's how you go from invisible to unstoppable. The beauty of consistency lies in its deceptive simplicity. It doesn't demand heroic acts every single day. It asks for small, manageable actions, taken repeatedly, over time. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. It's about putting in the work, even when no one is watching. It's about inching forward, even when the finish line seems impossibly far away. The compounding effect of consistency is nothing short of miraculous. Imagine you improve by just 1% every single day. That sounds insignificant, doesn't it? But mathematical models show that a 1% improvement compounded daily leads to a staggering 37 times improvement over a year. Conversely, a 1% daily decline leads to nearly 0. This is not theory, this is the undeniable power of incremental progress. So, how do we harness this power? Firstly, define your destination. What are those big results you aspire to? Whether it's writing a book, starting a business, mastering a skill, improving your health, or strengthening a relationship, clarity of purpose is your North Star. Secondly, break it down into small, actionable steps. The biggest mistake we often make is trying to tackle everything at once. This leads to overwhelm and ultimately, inertia. Instead, identify the smallest possible action you can take consistently. Want to write a book? Start with 500 words a day. Want to get fit? Begin with a 15-minute walk. Want to learn a new skill? Dedicate 30 minutes to focused practice. Thirdly, build a routine. Consistency thrives on habit. Integrate your small steps into your daily or weekly routine. Make them non-negotiable. Treat them with the same importance as brushing your teeth or eating a meal. The less you have to rely on willpower, the more likely you are to be consistent. Fourthly, embrace imperfection. There will be days when you fall short. You'll miss a workout, skip a study session, or fail to write your daily words. This is not a reason to give up. It's a reason to get back on track the very next day. Consistency is not about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again, even after a stumble. Fifthly, track your progress. Seeing how far you've come, even in small increments, provides powerful motivation. Whether it's a simple checklist, a spreadsheet, or a dedicated app, visually representing your consistent efforts reinforces positive behavior and fuels your momentum. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, cultivate patience. Big results rarely materialize overnight. Consistency is a long-term game. There will be plateaus, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But trust in the process. Trust that every small step, every consistent effort, is building towards something significant. The oak tree does not become mighty in a single season, it grows steadily, year after year, through consistent nourishment and unwavering roots. In a world that often demands instant gratification, let us champion the quiet revolution of consistency. Let us understand that true power lies not in fleeting bursts of brilliance, but in the relentless, unwavering pursuit of our goals, one small step at a time. Remember this: the seemingly insignificant actions you take consistently today are the very foundations upon which your extraordinary future will be built. So, let us commit ourselves to this profound principle. Let us embrace the power of consistency, and watch as our small steps lead to big, beautiful, and utterly transformative results. Thanks for listening. And remember, start small. Stay consistent, dream big,